Hello, my name is Opal Singleton. I'm the president and CEO of Million Kids. I hope that you will follow us on Facebook at IE Million Kids and go to millionkids.org and sign up for our insider alerts. These are breaking news. They are case analysis. It's announcements about technology or legislation that affect human trafficking, sextortion, social media exploitation, or child pornography. And we have a new case for you today. This is a case of sextortion. Cornell Johnson is the individual who was just sentenced to 45 years in prison for sextorting 27 minor kids ages 4 to 17 years old. This is just absolutely tragic when you begin to understand what is going on here. He posed as a female on Facebook. He had multiple Facebook accounts, and he lured these girls in and began to build a relationship with them. He enticed the minors to send photographs. Now, you may think it's kind of odd that a girl would send a photograph to another girl, but it seems to at the time that they're just playing a game or it's just a joke or, that kind of thing. And so this grooming process to get our kids to overcome their fear of being catfished, almost every kid thinks it's never going to happen to me. I'm going to be able to figure it out, but they don't. Now, why a 4-year-old is on there doing that, I'm not certain. But what had happened here is he would get them to send photos, and it starts out fairly benign, maybe a little something off the shoulder, maybe something in a bikini and like that. And so they don't think of themselves as sending a sexual photo. But each time they kind of play this game of dare and it gets more and more provocative. And eventually they end up sending completely nude photos and sexually explicit photos. Once he got the images of the young girls, then he began the blackmail. And that is how it happens. The first thing they want are more photos and more provocative photos. And so he threatens to ruin their reputation, to humiliate them, to embarrass them because he has these photos. This is an absolute epidemic taking place across our nation. Million Kids is in the process of making a video to be able to explain to kids how all this technology works and basically where a naked photo goes when you hit send and how the new technologies are going to make this even more challenging. So what happened is he wanted more photos. That's the first thing they want. The Center for Disease Control prior to COVID said that at least 18,000 kids a day are sending naked photos. After my work the last year in COVID, I'm going to tell you that number is very low. And that 9,000 kids a day, according to the University of Florida, are sending the naked photo and are being blackmailed. But here's the number that is truly scary as a parent or a grandparent, is that 57% of kids who send those naked photos and are being blackmailed will go out and meet up with their pedophile to try to negotiate back that photo. And many of them end up getting raped and further violated. So it's important that you use this opportunity to understand how this happens. He wanted more photos. He specifically directed the minor teenagers to sexually abuse younger children in their household to produce images. This is why I made this particular insider alert for you. We are seeing more and more and more of that. So why is that? Because our kids now, they don't type, they don't text, they text, they don't send emails, they live stream everything, including video games. Think about the equipment in your video gaming that you have, the Discord, the PS5 and the PS4. It all has live streaming. So your kids are playing, but what do they see when they look in your living room? The other children that come and go in the picture. And we are starting to see many cases now where they're forcing this older child to seduce and have sex with a younger child and film it just to keep them from getting caught because of the fact they're being blackmailed. And this is absolutely horrific on all members of the family, especially the parents when they see that. But on top of it, they are using this blackmail opportunity to create a pedophile in the child they're blackmailing that maybe normally never would have done that. Just because they got sucked in sending a photo doesn't mean that they're actually pedophiles. But someone in that photo blackmail is getting this kid to conduct acts of pedophilia. So it's absolutely tragic for the whole family. This guy is a serial sextortionist, and they almost always are. And so I want to tell you how to handle this if this happens in your family. At the time of his arrest, he had 80 tips into the cyber hotline. So, what do you do if you think that a child in your family is a victim of sextortion? Well, here's some signs to look for. First of all, they'll probably become secretive, maybe close their tablet or hide their phone or spend a lot of time away from you. They may start missing school, okay, because they're afraid. They're being told that if you don't do this, we're going to show it to the family, we're going to show it to your friends at school, we will ruin you. They may shut down emotionally, especially guys will shut down emotionally and not be able to communicate what is really happening. This is an intense sense of shame that is going on there. Or they may be very depressed, or they may be just the opposite, where everything blows up. You know, they're kind of hyperactive, and everything becomes this big emotional traumatic moment. Their grades may fail, okay? And they may have no interest in outside school or even outside activities that they normally would have been in. They may have trouble sleeping, and because they're scared to death and they can't tell anybody what is going on. They might start cutting or maybe become anorexic or experience bulimic behavior. And they may start running away from home. This is really an important point for you to recognize that if your child's behavior has changed, do not ignore it. You know your child better than anybody else out there. And you're going to know if there's a deep-seated change going on. So parents ask me, how do I approach this? Well, let me first tell you what you don't do. You don't march in there and go, do you have a naked photo on the internet? Okay, that is extremely judgmental. They're already shut down. They're already in deep shame. They're terrified that you're going to know about it. This is why 58% will go out and try to negotiate that photo back rather than to talk to mom and dad. So it's very important that you have the right mindset. You know, if you have a girl with a lot of naked photos, if it's possible, have mom handle it. You know, dads cannot unsee what they just saw, and it will change how they perceive it, and it will change the relationship between the parent and the child. So if possible, if you have a girl, you know, let the mom see it. If you have a guy, let the dad see it. Okay, now here's what you do. You find a place in your emotional stability where you're absolutely calm and in control. And then you sit down with them and you say something like, I see you dealing with something very deep here, and I'm concerned for you. I love you and I care about you, and I can tell when things aren't quite right. But this one seems very heavy. And just be quiet. If they don't respond, then say, you know, is it possible that you might have an illicit photo or somebody challenging you about a photo that's on the internet? And again, stay very quiet and see if they can come forward. If they can't, then say, you know, I, I hope you don't have that photo. But if you do, I want you to know you are not alone. I am right here with you. This will be the hardest thing you and I have ever done together, but we are together and we'll be strong and we'll work through this together so that you can be okay. And it won't be easy. We will have to go to law enforcement. That's very important. You see, these sextortion people have thousands of victims, and it must be turned into law enforcement so that we can find the perpetrator, and maybe you can even save a lot of victims and get out of this yourself. The key words are, you're not alone. We're going to work through this together. This is important to understand this. Your first instinct will be to delete all the images. Do not do that. Screenshot them if you can, okay? But don't delete them. Take the images to the police department, even if they're embarrassing. I know some parents are concerned if their victim is a son that's maybe 14, 15, 16 years old, or a daughter that's a little bit older, that they may be arrested for pedophilia. No, that's most likely not going to happen unless they are a serial pedophile. But it's important that you screenshot the evidence and take it to the police. Contact your local police department and ask for the cyber crime specialists. These are people who go undercover through the computer, and they will often pretend to be your child once they see your case and engage this person so that they can begin to find out who that is. And it's important that you let them do it and that you save the evidence and the communication and that you don't interrupt the line of communication so that they can go on as if they're your child and begin to find out who this is. Now, parents, I want to caution you about something. This is one of the hardest situations you and your family will ever go through, because I want you to understand what has happened with your child, whether they're 16 years old and 6 feet tall. This is a phantom relationship. It is not like somebody came in the room and violated them. No, they are involved with it. They meet someone online, they get a fantasy relationship, they think this person's going to care about them. They're playing a game of dare, they think they're in with a bunch of kids who are doing this, and they don't see the danger. But when the blackmail begins, there is nobody in the room to blame, and they are in the loneliest place they'll ever be. I have a book about this, Societal Shift, and it's all, the one chapter there is about phantom relationships and prison of shame. This is really a horrible moment where their whole lives are about to be changed, as these photos may go out to a child pornography ring with more than 1 million followers on it, and they get passed around over and over. So it's really important that you know how to handle this and that it's handled appropriately. If this has not happened to your family yet, and I hope it hasn't, educate your team that the minute they send a photograph out on the internet, they are in a blackmail prison. Maybe they haven't been blackmailed today. Even if they're sending it to someone they know, these app companies run algorithms all night and pull those photos out. And, they can be hacked and they can be intercepted. One child pornography ring, 1 million users, one photo can go to 1 million people just like that. And they never know, once that photo has gone out there, when and if the blackmail will begin. In the meantime, get your child into counseling, a specialist who understands about sextortion. Okay, do that. That is so important, because they have to process the shame and they have to process the fact that the law enforcement has to be involved, and they're not going to judge them, but they have to help them because thousands of other people are out there. And at the same time, mom and dad, I want you to get counseling, because this will change your marriage. You'll blame each other. You'll try to figure out where it went wrong. You'll start to look at your child at damaged goods. You cannot do that. Your child, more than any other time in their life, needs to know that you are there for them. Okay, they made a mistake, but the two of you, the three of you, are going to heal together. You may need to even get some of your younger siblings that are in it into counseling. This is a family crisis and time is of the essence. So, with that, I hope this has been helpful. If this has happened to your child and it's not immediate and it's not an emergency, you can report this. You can report this anonymously. Sex trafficking, child pornography, sextortion, all of these can be reported at this national hotline. But if you're a family in crisis and this has just recently happened, please contact your local cybercrimes unit of your local police department and let them know. So thank you for listening. This is Opal Singleton with a Million Kids Insider Alert. I hope it's been helpful for you. You can always contact us. We can assist if you need us to. And until the next Million Kids Insider Alert, you take care. Put your arms around your family and tell your spouse how much you love them. Tell your kids how proud you are of them. I'll see you next time.